Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, Senator Inouye told me a story, which I'd like to repeat for our colleagues. In 1973, George Gallup, the pollster, asked to come see him. This was at the height of the Watergate hearings. Back then, these investigations into President Nixon's Watergate break-in were consuming the country. Then there were only 3 major television networks plus the public broadcasting system. And the Watergate hearings, televised from the Senate, were every single day, several hours a day, on all 4 of those networks. So almost everyone in the country, for weeks, watched the Watergate hearings. They got to know Sam Ervin, the chairman. They got to know Howard Baker, the ranking Republican. But Gallup came to see Senator Inouye, and Senator Inouye said, "I'm glad to see you, but why do you come to see me?" He said, "Senator, who would you say is the most recognized person in the United States today?" And Senator Inouye said, "Well, I'm sure President Nixon is," and Gallup said, "That's right. But the second most recognized person is Senator Dan Inouye." And Inouye said, "Well, how could that be?" And George Gallup said, "Well, Senator, I suspect so many Americans have never seen a United States senator of Japanese ancestry with one arm and a distinguished voice and presence, and you've made an indelible impression on the American people." That was 1973. That was a long time ago. And since then, Dan Inouye made an indelible impression on a great many people around the world, and especially on the 100 of us who serve here. He commanded our respect in a remarkable way. Part of it was because of his service in the war. He and Bob Dole, our former colleague, literally were wounded at about the same time in Europe, and were in the same hospital recovering from tremendously serious wounds. Senator Inouye, of course, later was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for that. Senator Pryor was telling the story that when Senator Inouye was finally elected to Congress, he wrote Senator Dole a note and said, "I'm here, where are you?" Because both of them, when they were recovering from their war wounds, had determined that one day they wanted to serve in the United States Congress. Inouye got here first. A few years ago, Senator Inouye and Senator Ted Stevens invited a number of us to go with them to China. It was quite an experience. Senator Stevens, of course, another World War II veteran, had flown the first cargo plane into what was then Peking in 1944. And of course, Senator Inouye was well regarded in China for that service. And so the group of senators, there must have been a dozen of us of both parties, got more time with Mr. Hu and Mr. Wu, the number 1 and 2 leaders of China, than almost the President of the United States would have. We were accorded every courtesy we could possibly be accorded because of the presence of Senator Inouye and Senator Stevens. They were like brothers. They called one another brothers. They acted that way in private. They served that way in the Senate as chairman and vice chairman and vice chairman of the Defense Appropriations Subcommittee. They, over a number of decades, single-handedly shaped our American defense posture. And they did it with skill and patriotism and the knowledge of our structure that very few could have. Several senators have mentioned how bipartisan Dan Inouye was. He was of the old school, not a bad school for today, in my point of view. He treated each senator with courtesy, even the newer senators. He treated each senator with a sense of equality, even those who were in the minority and not on his side of the aisle. He was always fair, he was always courteous, and he always tried to do the right thing. He was a textbook United States senator. He announced for re-election after his last election. I don't know his exact age at the time, maybe 85, 86, and that he won't be able to run for that re-election now that he is gone. But he will be well remembered. Not long ago, he spoke at our Wednesday morning prayer breakfast that we have here. Usually we have 20 or 30 senators. On the day he spoke, we had maybe 60, maybe 70. We had senators sitting in the windowsills, standing around the back, just to hear what he had to say. I won't repeat what he had to say because we don't talk about what goes on there in public, except to say that he talked about his war experiences, and in a quiet way. He stood there for 10 or 15 minutes and explained those experiences to those of us, most of whom had never had that sort of experience. It gave us a new sense of him, and it increased our respect for him, if that could have been possible. So I join with my colleagues to say that Senator Dan Inouye was a patriot. He set the standard, really, for a United States senator. He set the standard for a man or woman in our military fighting to defend his or her country. And he set the standard as an individual who showed courtesy to everyone he met. We will miss him. We honor him. And we say to his family our expressions of grief to them, but more importantly, our great respect for our colleague who today is gone. Thank you, Mr. President. I yield the floor.